Welcome everybody to the annual regular city council meeting. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please? Your name is
Davis. Here. St. Columbia. Lyle Miller. Here. Harris. Present. Mr. Esselby's in the building. Maxine Miller. Here. You have 6 present.
first thing on the agenda, Ms. Berna Boyd. To make sure. Yes, sir.
I think it's a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. She's gonna be after Ms. Boyd. We got it. We got her.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Uh-huh. Yes, sir.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for letting me, I won't be long. All I'm asking for is a permit for when the fest is coming, the 4th through the 7th of October, Walnut Street in the 300 block to the 200 block in the 100 block, which, I have different vendors that wants to be on my property and other property. And, just asking a permit to okay it.
Ms. Boyd is asking, Ms. Harris, you can get a question. Ms. Boyd is asking the body to grant her a permit to let different vendors be on her property during the week of Blues Fest.
Yes, sir. Any
So-
questions?
Yes, sir. Ms. St. Columbia.
I don't believe we can grant her request due to the fact we've already allocated that date and time in that area all the way over to Pecan Street to the King Biscuit Blues Festival.
Right, but she's talking about specifically her property. And-
Oh, just on her property?
Right.
Oh, she can do anything she wants.
Right, so she's asking you.
Oh, I thought
asking
you
you-
were talking about blocking off the
No.
street.
Oh,
She-
no.
the-
no.
Hold on, Ms. Boyd. They've been blocking off her
Y'all
property.
did.
So she's trying to make sure that they don't block off her property by using her property. She wants us to vote to make sure that she don't get in this same entanglement that she got into a couple of years ago.
Several
We
years,
decided-
At her
several years.
request,
Right,
I
so
think I got a copy of it somewhere. She wanted to block off the streets. Yeah, I think that's not all of it. Let's see. I notice where you're gonna serve alcoholic beverage. You have a,
Oh, no, that was, no, sir, we're not gonna sell any alcohol.
well, you got that mark on it.
Well, that was a mistake there. That was an error.
Okay.
We have a copy.
Are you having vendor booths
Yes, sir.
and the vendor booths are gonna be on your property,
Yes.
not on the street?
No, unless, Walnut Street is gonna be open, so it's opening back up to the community, so if they want to
Have you checked with them?
check with
You're
who.
not gonna have anything on the street?
No, nothing on the street, no, sir. The street is gonna be able to go flow, the traffic is gonna be flowing from the 300 block to the 100 block, which is Missouri. It'll come down east on York Street and turn down to go to the 300 block to 200 block to 100 block of Walnut Street.
Okay.
I met with Miss Liston, Kim, the one that's over the fest, and we talked and we agreed to what she was saying.
Did Kim say that was okay?
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, I own some property down there. I know what you mean.
Yes, sir.
I can do
I don't,
anything I want to on my property. You can do anything you want to on your property.
right, thank you.
Yeah. You don't need, you really don't need a request from us
Okay.
do anything.
Okay.
I don't have to ask the city to let me have something on my property.
Mhm. Well, see, I'm all the way in the 300 to the 100 block, so I want to make sure that I can be able to have, I have vendors that's gonna be on my property, and I'm from the 300 to the 100 block.
You're gonna have vendors,
Yes, sir, and different people's doing
they're gonna
different
be
things.
approved by the health department.
Well, they're gonna have their pellet
See,
license.
I'm a vendor too.
Yes, sir.
I'm inspected by the health department.
Okay, well,
I have to have a permit
What-
from I have to have a permit from the King Biscuit to be in that area.
well, see, I'm not familiar with the King Biscuit. I'm not with them. It's just private owners.
Yeah, I'm private owned too.
Yeah, but I'm not, but you're familiar with them. You're on their board and, you participate with them, but I don't. I do, the board's property. That's it.
What she said to Ms. St. Columbia, that these are people that's gonna be on her property at her expense. So what she's saying is.
Yeah, you can have anything you
Right,
want on your
So,
property, I think.
all she's asking for is to be able, I'm gonna give you a quick rundown so we can get past this and
Right,
take care of
thank you.
business. Every year we had the Blues Fest. Ms. Board has been running to the issues of even Brown's Home for Funerals where they are blocked off. Mr. Brown had the call a couple of years ago. Ms. Coates is familiar with this situation as well. Business are getting blocked off, can't use their own property.
Right.
So Wilson and Valley Law Firm, Mr. Anthony as well on the building there. Wait. I'm giving you time, so let me get this out. The law firm down there, all the business closed, but they give the King Biscuit access to their property. Ms. Boyd wants to use her property, and every year she's blocked and pushed out. She has to call and ask us, me, former Mayor Smith, will have to come down there and ask them to move the barrier so she can use her property. Well, she paid property taxes. Her property taxes occurred. She wants to use her property, and she don't want to be blocked.
She should not be blocked.
But Ms. St. Columbia, she's been blocked. So all she's asking for is permission to use her property
Right.
during this time. So we can either grant her what she's asking for and let's move on.
Now, I don't have to ask the city to use my own
I
property.
understand it, Ms. St. Columbia, but this is something she wants to just go through the protocol so they won't block her, because if she don't do
They
this,
have blocked.
if she
What are
don't,
you asking the city for?
she's asking us simply to let her use her property. So when they start the Blues Fest,
Right.
they won't block her. She wants to have it on record that she can use her
Thank
property and not be blocked like has been done for the past
Should be
years.
blocked.
So can we get,
Oh,
we get
yes,
a
I've
motion
been
in a
blocked.
second?
Yes, so I got pictures. I
Ms.
got
Boyd,
pictures.
Ms. Boyd.
A lot of pictures.
Ms. Boyd, we got you
You
on
should
this.
not
Yes,
be
sir.
blocked.
Can we,
You said that
Ms.
last year and they blocked.
Ms.
me.
Boyd,
You said it
Ms.
last-
Davis, so
You
moved.
said it last year, Lord.
Ms. Davis, so moved. Can we get a second?
I say.
Ms. Miller seconds the motion. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. St. Columbia,
I'm gonna have to vote no, because I don't have enough information
Yes, sir.
about this,
We thank
and
you.
I don't think it's of our best interest to. I believe that she should have access to her property, and that she should use her property to whatever she wants. But she's mentioning in her request, written request here,
Mr. St. Columbia. We had time for discussion. We're in the middle of roll
okay,
call.
okay, I vote no,
Thank you.
for
Ms.
certain
Harris,
reason.
Ms. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
I'm gonna say no.
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Etherly.
I'm saying,
Have 3 yeses, 2 nos, and 1 abstention.
I don't even have a solid.
Yeah, I'm gonna vote yes, so it's approved. I gave you a yes, Ms. Randall. Thank you, Ms. Boyd.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, Ms. Stevenson, would you come forward?
Hello,
It's so good to see you again, Ms. Stevens. How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you guys?
So Mr. Alexander came out, am I correct?
So I did, Mr. Alexander came by
Yes, ma'am.
on Friday,
Okay,
but he did tell me nobody reached out. He said nobody still reached out to him. He said if it wasn't for me calling him, he wouldn't have been out. Him and Mr. Turner come out, but they came out to the funeral home, but they came to the wrong area because they didn't know. I guess because they didn't get the call to know where to go, they was in the back of the funeral home at the wrong spot. So when I end up sending him the pictures of the damages of our building, he knew then where to go. And he was explaining to me, he gave me this map. I don't know if y'all have it, but he gave me this map right here. And that map, he said, runs from West Street or something all the way over to, but the ditch, in other words. But he said it's not an engineering problem. He said if they will take time and sweep those ditches.
He just told us that. Right.
And he said if they would take time and sweep those ditches from West Street all the way back over to our property, that it will solve the problem from when it rains and it floods. He said, but in other words, he said it's not on the engineer. But he did tell me nobody never contacted him. So I don't know. I'm just telling you what Mr. Mike told me, because he said if I wouldn't have called him. And I said, well, Mr. Mike, I said, the day I left the meeting, they told me that Miss Sandy would reach out to you. He said, nobody reached her. He said, but he did end up taking Miss Sandy that same map.
Excuse me, he's supposed to came by your office,
But he said you were out of town.
right?
Yeah, and I do apologize. I was in.
But he was just, that's all right, but he just stopped by there first, then he came to us.
Mhm.
Cause he was gonna tell you what she's saying before he told us.
He just told me as well. So
Well, he did say if they, but he did say it's nothing he can do. Because he said if they go over there, and he said if they start doing what they need to do or have to do, he said then they wouldn't get paid because it was not a proposal done by the city to go on our property and do what's supposed to be done. So, I mean, again, I'm standing here. I get the promises of them reaching out to this person and reaching out to that person, but Mr. Mike is still telling me nobody reached out to him. If I hadn't reached out, he wouldn't, I mean, if I hadn't sent the pictures, he wouldn't know where to go. If I hadn't reached out, he wouldn't have came out. And he looked at the video. He looked at the last board meeting. And he said it was just like they were throwing him under the bus. He said, because nobody never reached out to them. And he said he's not going to sit up and just say something that didn't happen. So, I mean, if y'all want to reach out to Mr. Mike, he'll tell y'all the same thing he told me.
Short, he said it just need to be cleaned out.
He said it to be flushed out.
That's what he was saying.
He said, because it's not an engineering problem.
And could we at least try to do what he said first, and then we go from there after someone clean it, gush it, flush it, or whatever. But could we at least do that first, and we just go from there after then? Because we've been waiting on for years, and I'm not blaming you all at all, but it's just a process me and my wife been waiting on since Mayor
Hollowell?
Yeah, and we just asked for help. And just so start at least somewhere. Let's start somewhere.
And Mr. Stevens, I'm fine with that. If the body wishes to do that, I mean, we can engage. Just a moment, City Attorney.
Oh, no, I was just looking at the map that they gave, and just to reiterate, this is a larger problem than just their lot, even with Mr. Alexander is not the engineer. He's an employee of an engineering firm, but he's not an engineer. The engineer didn't make the statement that he's not an engineering issue. But the city should look at working on the drainage about this. Now, the mayor and I today met with the watershed engineers, and we raised this particular concern with them as well, relating to this entire area that you mapped here, because it's not just at your corner. We want to see you all relieved. And someone should have contacted the engineer.
He said nobody contacted him.
Well, we're talking two different people.
I talked to the engineer today.
Today.
He suggested.
You said today.
Yes. And he suggested that we do some topography, get some topography done so you can get the lay of the land, the lay of the ditch, and then get a contractor to come in and do what that topography says. So I did talk to him about 4:30 today.
as I've said numerous times, we had an engineer at First Baptist Church to come out and look at that whole area. And from Ladino, all the way over to Washington, all the way up to Panama, back to West Street, there's about a 2-inch fall. And there has to be some grade done and possibly some pumps that's done in that area. Because every time it rains on the Carranza side of First Baptist Church, the lot is full of water. And so one of the things I was saying is I sympathize with what you're saying, but it also has to be something done for the larger area, because just as you were saying, Mike, who's not the engineer, he's saying that you need to start on West Street, come all the way down along Panama Road, then come down Washington Street, Garland Street, North Carranza, then over to your property, and then the Panama Road. So it's not just a small area that he's saying needs to be cleaned out. It's an entire area that has to be done. That's something that the body needs to look at, and it's something that the city should do.
So
But
until,
it's not just a local issue. It's a broader issue that's going to have to be corrected. Because as I've said, every time you come, we can correct that corner, but then the problem is going to move just slightly down the street to the next property.
Right now, Mr. Valley, it's messing our floor. We done had it fixed twice out of our pocket, but every time it rains, the water just sits up.
it sits up under the building. It's
It can
coming
be
from.
dried in the street, the sun have been dried up, but
The
it takes
water.
a while up on our building, then it just soften our floors and
Mildewed it out. I mean,
right now it's affecting us real hard. We done paid twice out of our pocket.
Mr. Miller?
Have an estimate or idea of how much it might possibly cost?
they had the estimate. I mean, I gave the
You talking
estimate the first time.
Fix their house?
No, not
To have
just the
it
house.
tweaked and stuff.
The part that Mr. Alexander was speaking to.
Well, I don't have it, Mr. Miller, but I'm pretty sure we can get it.
Yeah.
And I know Mr. and Mrs. Stevens are tired of the push along, but we can get Mr. Alexander here or get someone to give
Yeah,
us that. And I'm not trying to push you all along. I know that this issue needs to be taken care of, but no one gave us any financial price of how much it's going to cost us. And I know you're tired of running the CS, but it's always good to see you.
I would like to, if possible, if it's depending upon the cost, would like to try to look into Mr. Alexander's recommendation, because there was a particular situation over where Pastor Alexander was, and it was like going on for like 3 or 4 years. And we asked Mr. Mike to come out there and look at it, and literally like in a day, he fixed something that had been a problem for 4 years. The dude knows what he's talking about. I would think it would behoove us to at least listen to his recommendations.
Yes, sir. My spending limit is $5,000. If you all want to do something different, if that's what you all want to do, it's fine with me. So tell me what you want to do. Give me a
I think
price.
we find out how much it's going to cost first.
Miss Stevens,
it will cost to clean out the ditches, and then
we'll find it out. Just so we'll get with Miss Ramsey, Miss Stevens, tomorrow morning. Can you come see me? No, wait. Hear me out.
What time, man? What time?
Let's do 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
Yeah. So
You got something to do? Tomorrow morning.
Oh, no.
Okay. go
Thursday.
ahead.
Okay,
Tomorrow night.
if you all see us at 9 o'clock, I'll make sure Mr. Alexander, me and you get a price. Now, if it's under $5,000, we'll go ahead and get that done for you all. And you'll know that once that's solved, you can come back with your other issue. We can take care of it. We need to get this issue handled for you first, tomorrow.
Okay.
So everybody hears that, tomorrow. So I promise you, 9 o'clock, I want to see you. You and Mrs. Stevens both, I want to see y'all tomorrow.
All right. Thank y'all.
Thank
so
you
much.
all.
All right, y'all have a good.
You too. What a day. Okay. Previous minutes, Miss Sammy.
had sent you copies of the July 11th and 18th minutes back in July, toward the end of July. But with an agenda being so large, what I'll do is I'll have all of the minutes that you need to approve emailed to you next week, and we can do everything when we meet on October 3rd. That'll be like 8 sets of minutes. They'll give you time to look at them.
Thank you, Ms. Ramsey. City Attorney. Come back to me. We'll come back to the City Attorney. You go with that. Water Department. Mr. Valley, you gonna stand for Mr. Murdoch for the Water Department? Mr. James Valley, that is.
Mr. Calvin Murdoch is in Chicago on family illness issue that he's dealing with. But we're looking at the agenda, section 8A. The community's unlimited presentation. So 8A, 1A, the community's unlimited presentation is not happened yet, not going to happen tonight. B, the leak, the 12-inch sewer line, that's still in question as to what it was. They thought they were going to repair a 12-inch sewer line and it was going to be $30,000, but they didn't find the closure side of it. So that remains open. The consent administrative order in subsection C, the status of that is that the mayor, the city attorney, and the general manager met and discussed the status of it. We're at the 90-day mark and we're on track to do the things that need to be done. We also got I believe, a preliminary report from Shawkett, the engineer. The staff level / needs, subsection D, we've discussed that. I don't think there's anything new to bring to the table on that. Subsection E, the water sewer rate study is underway. There's information has been requested from various people, and we're waiting them to assemble that information such that you can get you a good rate study, such that you can set your water rates. If you notice in your agenda packet, I'm gonna tell you the specific page to turn to. Turn to page 7 of 62. Page 7 of 62 is the general ledger journal entry list. And it shows that our water department billed for $81,000 in water on the current month sales. And this is for the month of August of 2023. And this is the 72342 side of town. Then on number 2, sewage, they billed $33,000. It's in this packet here. This should be on top, and the pages are numbered. We're looking for page 7 of 62. You there, Mr. St. Columbia? I don't want you to be left out. So I show you that and point that out to you to show that your sewer billing is absolutely too low. There's no way that your sewer should be less than half. That's almost a third of the water. And of course, the sewer is one of the areas you're having a lot of problems in. That's where you've been renting the pumps and having pipes to break and all the things you're having to do, paying Xylem and other people. So this rate study should reflect the sewer rate should be at least 80% of the water rate, but at this point, it may need to be 120% of the water rate. That is, it should be higher. Collection should be higher. Secondarily, you look at the payments collected, you can see on the Helena side of town, you billed 81,000, but you only collected 64,000. On water, on sewer, you billed 33,000, but you collected 28,000. Now, why that's out of proportion, I can't explain. Somebody else would have to explain that to you. But it's just not, those numbers are not mathing, as they might say. You look at sanitation, it shows you billed 51,000, but you collected 49,000. All of these things on the same bill, but why they're not matching up, I don't know. But I don't want you to study that too long. I want you to go to page 11. 11 of 62, that'd be the 72390 water system, West Helena water system. You bill for water in the month of August, $90,711.13. You bill for sewer, $50,000. Again, your sewer rate is too low. It shouldn't be that low. And so that's something you need to address when you address your rates. Secondarily to that, your problem in your water department, at least in part, is that you collected out of the 90,000, you collected 76,000. And in sewer, you collected 41,000. You still collected a greater percentage of the sewer than you did of the water, but that's what you did. In sanitation, you collected more than you billed, according to the report. That means somebody came in and paid on an old bill that wasn't billed in that month. They paid out of the monthly time period, or what they did, I'm not sure. Somebody who does the accounting would have to explain that to you. But all of that is part of what you'll consider as you consider adjusting your water rates and sewer rates for the city of Helena-West Helena. Then if you turn to page 26 of the 62, because we're not asking you to study this stuff tonight, we just want to point out the highlights and let you move on. The mayor's told me that we got to move quickly tonight for some reason. I talked too long, so I'm gonna be short. On page 26, you see the expenses that were paid in the month of August from the water department from August the 1st to August 31st is $215,000. I'm sorry, I'm going too fast. Mr. St. Columbia on page 26. Yes, sir. The one with the 2 and the 6 on the bottom.
That's page 23.
There you go, right there.
All right. Go ahead.
All right, it shows your total expenses for the month of August, from August 1st to August 31st, 2023, $215,593.12. But I gave you a report earlier. If you add those numbers together, you collected $209,000 for water and sewer. So in the month of August on water and sewer, you spent $6,000 or so more than you collected. I'm not talking about what you billed, I'm talking about what you collected. And so the water department would probably get that money from sanitation fees. As far as I know, they didn't bounce any checks. All right, item F, turning back to the agenda, item F, a public hearing request or resolution. There's a public hearing request, and we'll probably have to address it at the October meeting to apply for grant funding with East Arkansas Planning and Development District for some items needed for the water department. And we'll have to set a public hearing before the council meeting. It'll probably start at 5:30 on one of your regular council meeting nights for people to have questions and to hear what the plan is and to go forward from there. So we'll come back to that. Then any questions on the water department or anything the water department needs?
Before you move on, Mr. Steph, in the water department, there is
The Xylem bill.
no, there is a report I gave you all about, the $200,000 loan that we got from the governor. Well, 100,000. Thank you, Mr. Allen. We're down to the last. I try to give you all a report so you know what we spent. We had several people saying what they said about money wise. So I'm giving you a report that we're down to $338 of the money that the governor sent us. So I'll give you all a detail on every dime that we spent, every contract we paid, so you can have that. I don't want to do anything behind your back. I want you to know what we spent and where we stand. So we're still fixing leaks. The money has ran out. We're at $338 out of the $100,000. So I want y'all to have this. Tell your friends, tell everybody that we did what we were supposed to do with this money, and we're on our way to start trying to pay the loan back. Then you have this other report. It's from Xylem. I gave you all this. Xylem is a company we have been renting pumps from. We owe Xylem, if you turn to the last page, Xylem been sending bills from 2022. The last page showed that we paid Xylem $149,361. They have been sending bills from 2022. in the bill from 2022, they're saying that we owe, if you look through your pages, give me just a moment to catch it. Okay, on page 2, if you look at it, they say we owe them $78,391.74. We don't. What we owe them now is Miss Danley, who handles some of the water department's business, found out that we had paid them $27,000. So only thing we owe them is $51,000. I'm not asking us to pay this all at once because I don't want to put the water department in a strain. But I do want us to figure out some way to pay this $51,000. If it's a monthly, I don't want us to pay a huge chunk because something may happen in the water department that we need this money. But this is from 2022 from renting pumps. So we have kind of gotten away from renting pumps, but this is a bill that we need to address soon. I just want you all to study it, to have it. I don't want to pay the whole $51,072.81 at one time because the water department may have an issue. And I do want to try to keep money in case we have a crisis that we can be able to do what we need to do to make sure our water department stays functional. So, Mr. Valley, City Attorney.
One of the things, just to bootstrap on what the mayor is discussing, when the consent administrator order, this chief of staff mentioned that we had a conference. One of the things that they want us to do is get completely off of these pumps. This is for the sewer. Our sewer, we have pumps, but when the pumps are not working, we rent bypass pumps, as we've gone over many times. It's a threefold cost to rent the bypass pump. One cost is the rental, another cost is overtime, and another cost is diesel. And we've brought it down. We discussed this before where we spent $700,000-800,000 renting relating to all that, and then spent another $100,000 on diesel last year. But as you see, the numbers have come down greatly as you all have voted when Mr. Murdoch has come to repair several pumps. We have a few pumps that we have not finished repairing, but in this list, you see where the pump is. You see how many days it's past due. As you go down through it, you will see what we actually have pumps that we are renting. So you will know precisely when Mr. Murdoch addressed you. This Miller station, this is another lift station, et cetera, et cetera. It's all listed in this detailed this detailed bill that we have. The city is doing far better as relates to pumps because you all have voted to repair many of the pumps. We still have 2 or 3 lift stations that have pumps that we are trying to get off of, and ADQ wants us to get off of them totally. Now, secondarily, I've met with the mayor, the city treasurer, the city clerk privately, and I just wanted to remind you all publicly, as you all know, when you all started this year, you were $588,000 in debt from the previous administration, and we need to do something to remedy our shortfall so that we can get in the black, because Constitution is illegal for us to operate in a deficit. I've said that over and over and over, but we need something to go ahead and to resolve that financial issue so that we can come into compliance. That is not to cast aspersions on the previous administration. It is what it is. The facts are what they are. And so we just need to move forward and try to resolve some of these issues.
Thank you, City Attorney. And the body, if we may have to meet a couple times so we can start to see how can we work on that. It's getting almost time for budget workshop time. So when you all have some time, let's get some dates together. Want to see how we can cut some things so we can try to knock this $500,000 out. As you all know, we have a lot going on with overtime. Garbage trucks are down, trying to repair different things. And I would just say this. I think from what we dealt with, that we are doing fine. Yeah, we spending some money trying to make this city better. I know some people like, oh, well, you're doing this, you're doing that. But as I look around this community looks a whole lot better. I look at our police department. They're short, but they're functioning. I look at our fire department, they're functioning. Our water department is down half a staff, but they're doing it. Street and sanitation, they're doing it. What I would like to see if anybody has any ideas publicly, people in the general public, if you want to help us, we'll accept the help. But I'm not gonna bash anybody. This is all about our house. We need to keep it clean, keep it safe, and do what we gotta do. We're not gonna blame. Let's see how we can fix it. Before, I said on the side where you said, financial decisions are hard. I know everybody comes to you with different complaints and different things, saying what you should do, what you shouldn't do. But you sit where I sit to make those tough decisions. And whatever we have to do together, we'll do it. We're not gonna fall out about it. We're gonna fix it. We have came so far in 9 months. We had the baby now. Look around. Houses been torn down. Things are much better. But we still got a long way to go. I understand we need to trim the fat, but it's hard to trim the fat when you got a whole lot going on. And we're overextended. Our workers are overextended. Some of us, the chief of staff, many of hats that he wears, the city attorney, the treasurer, the clerk, the compliance officer. We all wear hats trying to fix this situation. And it's easy to sit and say what you should and could do, but you're not in these seats to do it. People elect us to do a job. I think Miss Miller, Mr. Miller, Miss Davis, Mr. Anthony, Miss St. Columbia, and Miss Harris for making those tough decisions. Do what we have to do in this community. And we're gonna keep fighting. But I do, if you got any suggestion that you would like to see us do, City Hall is open. My door is open. I'm here from 8 to 8. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So the last time we were here, Attorney Etherly raised some questions about the water department. And I understand that Mr. Murdoch is not here. But
Some of those questions I answered in the packet.
yeah, the only thing that kind of troubles me a little bit, and I wish we could get a little bit more closure about these uncollected amounts, because West Helena is at 14,000 roughly, Helena is at 17, that's $31,000 in uncollected money. And, you know, I just hope that there's a way that we can figure out how to close that and recoup that money. I
Yes,
think we
ma'am.
need it.
Amen. Well, Miss Miller, I talked with Mr. Murdoch. A lot of those accounts are people who have moved. And some of those, the number may not be accurate because we talked about it. I think on Friday, that was my biggest concern because there's a box of bills. And he said, well, let me show you. Some people have moved, but they've paid it and they're winging them. They got enough help in the office to wing that number down, but they are collecting. People are paying it. So there's people who have moved, and we need to take some action on the West Helena building to try to get at least the drive-through up and running so people can, I think that's some of the problems because people are mailing in payments and sometimes the payments get at the end of the month and the system's already closed out. But we want to try to get the West Helena side open. If it's nothing but the drive-through, so we can see a change in our collections from the West Helena side, because people are not, we got a transportation problem in Phillips County. It's hard for people to get to where they need to go. And sometimes people just say, well, I don't have a ride, but that's not an excuse. They still need to pay. But we, on our end, we do need to figure out how to get that West Helena water department building open. So we, at least just to drive through so people can collect, because we have to, Ms. Randall goes over to collect money that people just put in the drop box because they can't afford to drive to help. So if we see some of that, I think we'll be out of the red with collections.
Ms. Miller, another one of the issues, probably the elephant in the room, is somewhat the manpower, would be the fact that we don't regularly cut water off. Some of that was back in June, nobody had water, so it'd be insensitive going out, cutting the water off. In July, we fixed some water leaks as opposed to diverting people to cut water off. But at some point, you're gonna start cutting people off. And the other thing is, there's no penalty if they don't pay by the cutoff date.
Well, Mr.
And
Valley,
you don't cut them off. So that needs to be.
When we met Friday, what did I tell Mr. Murdoch? Lights out tomorrow. If you ain't paid your bill, I'm sorry. the sensitive period is over. We're here to collect money. So I do apologize. If you ain't paid your bill, your water off. Because at some point we're losing. And you know, the crisis is, we're still working through the crisis, but I'm not insensitive. I still have a parent who lives and I pay her water bill. But it's time that we're here to collect money. We're here to service the community. So I'm sorry if your bill is not paid by tomorrow. Well, I'm sorry. You're just gonna have to be one of those people who got to pay that $25 reconnect fee and all those good things that come with it. We have been gracious to you all. You know, it's time. We can't keep running like it's a mom and pop store. This is a business, and we need our money, and I want it now. So if you don't pay your bill by tomorrow, I'm sorry. I mean, the employees suffer, vendors suffer when you don't pay. So that time has passed, Mr. Valley.
All right, Mr. Etheley, Ms. Miller, to address Mr. Etheley's question, one of them, if we go to page 8 of 62, I believe it's highlighted. It's showing the number of commercial customers on this 4-2 side of town, Helena side of town, 224 commercial customers. And then on page 9, your industrial customers for Helena is 29. And then on the succeeding page 10, your residential customers is 1,185. Then you keep turning, page 12, the industrial in West Helena is 2. Page 13, the commercial in West Helena is 267. And understand that the churches are billed as commercial. That may be why you see the high number of commercial, but they're billed as commercial. And then finally on page 14, you got 1,990 residential customers on the West Helena side. I got from Ms. Randall over in the water department. And the purchases by vendor showing the expenses I got from Ms. Danley back in the code enforcement section of the bill.
So
page 7 to 14 came out of the water department.
Mr. Valley, I think Mr. Etheley has a question.
no, I mean,
And 15 through 26 came from the mayor's office, Ms. Danley.
and so I'll wait until Mr. Murdoch returns, but this is the stuff that he couldn't get. And it's in the department. And so to the mayor's suggestion, if anybody has any ideas, my primary suggestion is that when I passed out all that, when I read that report that had been given to us from the water department in 2021, the first thing I said is this is not for a political purpose. So I don't want people to get in their feelings about who was in office. It was because water is losing at a rate that is sinking the entire city. And I think this is the biggest threat to our financial health. So my suggestion is that we attack this problem first. What I didn't anticipate is this gap in billing and actual collections. Because in this is just the month of August, right?
That's just the month of August.
Between water and sewer, that's like $40,000 in 1 month. And if you project that out for an entire year, that's nearly $500,000.
$500,000.
And so I didn't anticipate that part of it.
Yeah,
We still haven't addressed the expenses, which are here, so we can go through them and see what the regular expenses are. I just have a problem with the fact that we're 9 months into the year and the water department manager has not done basic financial research on his department. It's a revenue generating department. But that being said, I'll save all the rest of my questions and issues for him when he's here. And maybe he'll take a look at it before he comes back.
Did I answer your question, Ms. Miller? Okay, all right. All right, next on the agenda is the landfill. And we can make short business of this on the Riggs litigation. So we had 8A2A, the Riggs litigation. We are awaiting the city attorney to give us further direction on that. On 2B, that truck was sold 2 days after our last city council meeting. So we can't buy it anymore. So we have to find another one. The item C, if you turn the page, I think it's 60, 61, 62. That's a regulation the people at the landfill sent to us, such that you can see ADEQ regulation regarding animals being in the landfill. What they want you to understand, at least from their perspective, is that you can't have animals at the landfill, which would mean that animal control would need to be moved if you agree with what the landfill's presentation is. And that's, I'm looking on page, I can't see the number on here. The number somewhere.
Can I ask a question, Mr. Mayor, before we get too far down the road?
Yeah,
I was unclear about what we were doing on Xylem, the $50,000 bill. Did we arrive at a conclusion?
Well, my suggestion was we not pay the whole thing because I don't want to. We can pay probably $7,000, $8,000, maybe $10,000 here to get it all the way down because something may happen in the water department, major, and if we give $52,000 up tonight, you know, what does it leave us if something happens? You know, we still got leaks popping all up. You know, we fix them and we got to come back to them. I just don't want to take that much money from the water department and something happens and then we got to wait till we get some money to another billing cycle. So I kind of want to just phase it out. 10,000 this week, maybe, you know, $10,000 at the first of October, then the middle of October. So we can do it that way. Cause I do want us to make, we pay our vendors, but I don't want the department to be in a strain if something happens. We're getting ready to get to the cold months and pipes gonna bust and all these things may happen. And I don't want us to have to struggle with that. So I kind of, if we can kind of do that, that's fine with me.
I'm saying, and you weren't asking us to do anything. I didn't know if you were asking us to do something.
But, I mean, we can come back to it. I just want to have that suggestion in case you all decide.
I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, because I don't, when we pay bills, Ms. Danley receives and Mr. Mark receives a large amount of bills. And sometimes we pay bills for like $25,000 and $30,000. That puts the water department in a strain. And we should try to reach out to our vendors and say, yeah, we know we owe you this bill, we're gonna pay. But when you send a large amount of money, then the water department has payroll, you know, and then, you know, you wonder why we're struggling because, you know, we had at one point, Mr. Valley was a $50,000 phone bill, a $90,000 phone bill that we didn't pay, but we had to negotiate to get it down. And I'm not in favor of paying these high bills that Mr. Murdoch actually found out it was something the city wouldn't even use. They was billing us from 1978. We weren't even using, but those are the things that's happened.
Yes, that was much larger than 50,000. I think that was just one side of one deal. It was total $100 and some thousand consistently.
Right.
Or the city was paying on a line that was an analog line that the city hadn't used in over 10 years or 12 years.
Yes, sir. We're digressing. The mayor said we need to move on.
Yes, but I was just clarifying what he was saying.
I understand.
Now, it's two factors that we look at about funds. Well, you're talking about funds, water utilities using some. But the other issue is the lawsuit with the county. I got to tell you all about that because part of the issue is this. The county judge and all the people in the county went through and said, hey, this is not going to cost you all anything. Let's take the harbor tax and apply it to the jail. Well, part of the $150,000 that we owe, we're being sued by the county because they said they're billing us in addition to it. For those of you all who wasn't aware, it was $700,000 a year that we pledged that we no longer have coming into the coffers. And so I rarely defend expenditures, but one of the things I'm going to say is this. Part of the problem you're having is the $700,000 started June the 30th, 2020. And every year you're experiencing the loss of that $700,000. And the county is, and the water has to be raised, sanitation fees have to be raised because we no longer have that money. And the county is going back on their word. The county is now suing us and said, no, though you gave us $700,000 a year, you still need to pay us $150,000 a year. That's where we are. That's what the county lawsuit is about. They want to be paid for jail for prisoners. And the city's already gave $700,000 a year for that. Now, Chief of Staff.
Okay, what I was referencing was the ADEQ regulation 22.411, general operating requirements, subsection F. And the page number is, because this was a screenshot, the footer went together, but it would be page 60. It's what I'm looking at. It's got a 4-6 near the bottom of it. But in subsection F, the prohibited activities, the following activities shall be prohibited on the landfill site. And number 2, any feeding of farm or domestic animals. And so I know you certainly wouldn't have an animal shelter and not feed the animal. So that's what the challenge is. Now, our dog pound, what it was until I closed it, was always at the landfill. So, you know, I don't know if this regulation is new or what, or you want to choose a new site or just go back out there with it, because ADEQ was aware that it was out there, but they didn't cite us for it. But I was just pointing that out because, you know, you pay these people to be trained, and this is part of what they're showing us in their training, is that you got a regulation in conflict with what we're doing. All right, subsection D, the Housing Authority Demolition Tipping Fee Report. I believe we've shared that with you. And 2 weeks ago, we emailed you, it's 400 some pages, a lot of documents in there, but it shows about 3 million pounds of waste that we took to the landfill, and that does not count the concrete waste that we disposed of. Some of it went over to, I believe it's Moneymaker's property, and some of it went out to the landfill, but wasn't weighed because it's going to be used like a riprap to do erosion control. And we're near the end of the housing demolition. All of them are down. The Housing Authority inspected this morning and want the lots cleaned up a little bit better. They're saying some of the rock debris that's there is too big to cut with a lawnmower or riding mower. So that stuff will have to be picked up. And hopefully by October the 15th, we will be completed and paid. The final payment. We've been paid, I think, 70%. We're about to send a bill for up to 90%, and then they'll hold at 10% until October the 15th. So hopefully October the 1st, we'll get another check from the Housing Authority on that particular demolition. All right, the next thing on the agenda is the Sanitation Department, and we'll have Mr. Collins to come up, but I'll take you in this proposal. It's got page number 33, I believe, is where he'll start. It may be 32. It says Scruggs Equipment. And that all the way back to page 60. You got 3 different items Mr. Collins, I think, is asking for in this proposal. Let me turn to it.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. How are you?
Good evening.
Okay. These are the trucks. The first one is there.
Ms. Collins, could you speak up some? I have a problem here.
Okay. The first is automated. That's the one with the arm that goes out and pick up, and that truck is, let me find the part. That truck is 4,400, 14, with it 980.
What are you trying to see?
Right here.
Oh, okay. This small print.
Mhm.
It's $414,891.02 payable annually at $95,495.21 for 5 years. That's for what kind of truck?
That's automated.
All right.
Mhm.
So you're saying that's the automated truck, that's the arm that reach out and grab the car.
And it got a 5-year on the, we got a 5-year on the motor transmission. And it's got a 3-year warranty on the, hydraulic. And you don't have to make a payment until
15.
4/15 or 24. On all 3 of them.
So when they buy old equipment,
Well,
the head shape.
I talked to him today and he said, he asked me about the truck. Well, it's, and he would have to look at them and see what he could give us on. But it's no, I mean, we wouldn't have to pay no down payment or nothing on any of the trucks.
Mr. Collins, how much do we owe these on our current trucks?
We just made the second $92,000 a year payment on the new truck that we got. And so we owe 3 more payments on that.
So, Mr. Collins, you said, so 3 payments would be done.
Yeah, about 300,000 we'll be done with that one.
So we will have to pay on these trucks until April 2024.
Right.
So,
That means you'll have 200,000 going out in 1 year in sanitation truck payments.
see,
All the kind of stuff that we financially can handle that.
no, we hadn't got to that part yet. We hadn't got to, we was just asking questions because not this body, but we bought some garbage trucks for $160,000. Correct, Mr. Stephanie? That was money that we wasted when I said that that wasn't a good investment. We bought some garbage trucks that are sitting on our yard right now. That one won't start, one codified, almost injured one of our employees. So we have to look at the long term of what we're doing. I would like to see us do this, but we have to see what can we get. So if we can get some for these trucks, it would better help us in trying to have 2 notes at one time. Because as you said, how much was Raymond? 200.
It costs us 200,000 a year for sanitation truck payments in the beginning of next year.
So it will be done next year.
No, you've got 3 more years
3
on
more
that
years.
$92,000.
We got to get some money. And let me say, we do need garbage trucks. Monday, the trucks were down, and we had to call somebody in today. I asked Mr. Collins yesterday when the trucks were down to call somebody in today. Sellers called Mr. Sellers in to help us make sure we got our garbage picked up before they got the arm fixed today. So as I said before, we have not had a good maintenance plan on anything that we have. I think we want to try to fix them ourselves. And if we do decide on this, we do need to get a maintenance plan where our folks are not working on these trucks, because our folks are used to working on trucks, not commercial vehicles. And that's killing the department. When you spending this kind of money, because the fire department doesn't use our workers to work on their pump trucks. So we have to figure out a way to make sure, what are the warranty? Have you all looked at warranty for these trucks? Or can we do a lease program? That's what I think we should do. We shouldn't own a garbage truck. We should lease them out. If something happens, we can get one, and one of the trucks now, get one, pick another one up. Like we do the lawnmowers. We've been done good with leasing lawnmowers. I think we hadn't had a problem. Am I correct, Ms. Ransom? I think we should not own, lease. Any problem happen, they bring us one. Get out of the owning business, because I mean, owning them is killing us.
Is for leasing or for purchasing this?
This is, I mean, you go either way, lease or purchase.
Here's my practical concern, and I address it to all of you all. And also, I would ask for the opinion from the clerk and the treasurer. My practical issue is this: you already identified you have $588,000 unpaid bills from the last administration. I don't know how much you all are paying out in lease payments I know you still have police cars, you still have landfill equipment and other things. And then we were talking about payroll issues. What can we reasonably afford? And what are we paying each month? What's going on? I think you all have to evaluate that before you go into another debt. I think you also need to evaluate the fact that we need to arrest the fall in the water department. I know that we have needs, and I know that we need new equipment and et cetera. But it's no good in buying it if we can't afford it. I don't know whether we can afford it or not, but I think the clerk and the treasurer need to address those issues. What we're paying every month, what kind of pressure is going to put on the finances, and et cetera. But I think also Mr. Collins needs to address, okay, we're spending X amount of dollars for repairing bad equipment. And so once we see those things side by side, you can make a better decision. But I have to remind all of you that we need to do something about the finances related to it. I understand the citizens I want you to pick up my trash every week. I definitely do. I don't want it piled up.
But see, this is what we finna come to. We're gonna come to where that 29 and 55, we ain't gonna be able to repair them. They're not gonna run. So we're either gonna be stuck. And it's gonna come to that.
And I say this, City Attorney, I agree. We do need to have some kind of meeting to put out, so because I don't want the body to feel like it's a hidden agenda. I want y'all to know all the finances, because guess what? Mr. Valley is constantly reminding us we do need to know everything from the water department. The agenda is so long and things are happening. Let me just say, this administration is not blessed like the previous administration. We had, COVID is still here, but we're not getting the COVID money that we have gotten before. And I think when people hear money, we spent $700,000 on renting pumps, which could have paid off some of the debt. And I'm not blaming anybody, but we need to see, when you say raise fees, people get nervous. I think at some point, we need to just have a meeting just to go straight over finances. Every bill, everything needs to be laid out so we can see how can we prioritize these bills. Because every meeting you come, everybody needs. But we need to see every bill and how they are prioritized and being paid, because the fire department has a $92,000 payment, right, Ms. Ramsey? They've got a $48,000 truck note due this month. Right. So when you hear that, it's just like what that's the same thing I was saying about with the water department paying for the rent of the pumps, the $50,000. Those are big chunks of money that comes out that people don't realize. You have payroll, you have payroll taxes, you have all these things that's coming out. And I would like some people to try to see what we can do to help our city. I know people love to get on social media and say what the city should be doing, but the city actually has been gracious to everybody and has not been getting what it needs to be receiving. I think people go around thinking the city just this cash machine, and we're not. I mean, the city is not getting adequate payments. Your sanitation charge, everybody want their garbage picked up, but when you holler about that, we need to raise the rates. Everybody gets scared. We have commercial accounts that need to be raised a little bit higher. If you get 3 dumps, we only charge you $36. Imagine you go to McDonald's 10 times, well, 4 times. The price changes. We come to your house every week for $36. It's no 29. So we 28. Right. So we losing. Imagine how much diesel is come by your house 4 times a month to dump your trash. And you can tell we've been buying. Look at your yard, look at your driveway, you see hydraulic fluid just wasted. So I mean, seriously, the arm reach out, squirts out the hydraulic fluid. Yep, my garbage got empty, there's the hydraulic fluid. So that's money that your tax dollars are going on the ground. We have to figure out a way that we can save money. Now, we need the equipment, but some of these minds at the table and around the table got to come together and figure out how can we pay these debts down to get what we need. I mean, Chief of Staff.
Mr. Mayor, we included in the packet article from Clarksdale showing that they're considering raising their sanitation rates just for informational purposes only.
Yes, sir.
to like $38.55, based on the needs over there in Clarksdale. And they had about the same customer base as we had. We also included in the packet a statement about 4 state hospitals apply to become rural emergency hospitals. And there's a meeting that the mayor and I attended that we can't divulge the complete contents, but certainly some of that information is right here in this article about what they did in Clarksdale, and it's going to impact Helena Regional at some point. And so that's included for your reading, so you can glean that information. But I'm gonna let y'all get back to the presentation, and it's 7:05, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, the thing that I'm gonna tell you this. 29, there's 2 drivers in that truck. That's what we call a handicap truck, the 8-yard. That truck gonna have to be replaced because those drivers cannot need to replace that truck at least. And it's 120 on page 53. Right, it's a pickup with the loader in the back. We need to replace that truck at least immediately, because it's 120, 127, and it's the payment size is the same as the rest of them.
And Mr. Collins, what I was sharing with the city attorney, you all had Perkins hydraulic lift. These that go in the back of a truck.
That's it.
I mean, council, we can't get a garbage truck. If you look at your own, this is page.
That's why you don't look at a page 53.
Right, and we can't do it. We get a couple of these, at least until we got to get something to do better.
Yeah.
I don't want to put that big price tag on us, but how much are these? Right here,
There's 180.
So we can get 2 of those. That's 160 until we can do better. I'm not trying to put nobody in the strain, but we got to get something. At least have a decent truck. You got to have a decent truck. Yeah, man.
Some of the streets in Helena-West Helena will not sustain the weight of one of the big trucks, like the arm truck. They need the lighter weight truck. And Mr. Collins has pointed that out several times.
Because we was on the street and the garbage truck almost tilted over. We had to get a record to get. I do believe if we could handle, we can handle 1 or 2 of these, and we just gotta excuse me a second, we gotta tighten up our belts. But a big garbage truck in there, we can't. I wouldn't ask you, Mr. Collins, but I think that we should try to get something at least to get us some temporary relief until we get our debt down. The big, we got these big payments, and 2 of these, yeah.
How many times will we have to go dump this? It hold very much.
Well, it don't matter how many times I dump it. We ain't gonna be trying to. At least you can get your trash picked up, and it's safer.
Yeah, we saving human lives. I mean,
I agree with you.
Mr. St. Columbus, to answer your question, probably 4 times as often. It's a smaller truck, but the good thing is your landfill is just 4 miles north.
We're not very far.
Yeah, so
that's what I want to know.
That's a good trade-off. But yeah, you got to go.
So this will do about 1/4 of what we.
Yeah, you're doing about
big
8
truck.
to 10 yards, and the others are doing 30 yards.
Yeah, this seems practical.
Yes.
Well, in light of the news that we have, though, I mean, can we not at least have the discussion about possibly allowing another company, I think we did that for a little while, to do our garbage pickup? I mean, just for a little while until we can get a handle on the repairs, the lack of staff, a lot of the other issues that are going on in the sanitation department.
It sounds good, Ms. Miller, but we're gonna lose revenue.
That's right.
Because, I mean, I understand.
But we're losing revenue now. And this is just my opinion. I mean, I'm gonna allow, I mean, this is just me. I'm not trying to speak for anybody else. But there are other issues, and I respect you so much, and you know that. But there's other issues. We have people turning trucks over. We have people doing other kinds of things that are costing us lots of money. And I'm thinking they're still in place. And I'm gonna use y'all's terminology. I'm not trying to throw people under the bus, but I'm saying that we're not addressing those basic issues. And so we can go out and buy all the trucks he wants, and that's a great idea, and I'm all for it. But if we don't have staff that's operating those trucks, that can operate those expensive trucks, we can buy all we want to buy. And so until we get some handle on that.
We haven't turned over a garbage truck.
We did that once before and it worked.
Well,
You're talking about work.
What-
And
what-
we just netted
so
$5 per house at that time. A profit still.
Almost like London.
well, hold on, Ms.
Let me help
Miller.
you with the math. You got 1,900 customers in West Holland. 1,100 customers in Holland, that's 3,000. Multiply that times $5 and compare it to what you're getting now. And you can figure that part out. I'm not saying that Ms. Miller's proposal shouldn't be considered, but what you're saying, the math is not math.
Yeah, but I mean, let's consider.
If I may, one of the things about it, I hear both Ms. Miller and Mr. St. Columbia, but here's the practical thing that's beneath all of the discussion. The city collects about $135,000 a month in sanitation fees. Currently, your water utility is using those fees. If we contract it out, the contractor is going to want the vast majority of those fees. And so that's the practical issue. While I understand what both of you are saying, and both cities have done that before, but the practical issue is
Let's look into it.
But what I'm saying to you, we can look into it. Y'all can look at y'all council. But the one thing about it is know that if you take the money, then you're taking money that the issue is really if the water utility functions, sanitation department gets $300,000 to $700,000 annually that it would have free and clear. Your sanitation woes are directly tied to and grow out of the water department woes. And so, because the water utility, as we showed last year, over the past 3 years, the audit showed that the water utility owed the sanitation department over $2 million, over $3 million. And so if the sanitation department had that $3 million, we wouldn't even have this discussion.
Right.
And so those are the practical issues that we have with that. And we're going to further put stress on the city's finances if we contract that out. And the contractor said, wait, you need to give us those sanitation fees. Then the water utility is going to have to get the money from general fund and other things. So I think the priority, as Mr. Etler said, is let's deal with the water. And we deal with the water will help the sanitation and the city will function, because the other thing that we haven't done, the sanitation rates haven't been raised in a long time. And the sewer rates, as the chief of staff said, had been raised a long time. When we raised the water rates have actually gone up annually since Mayor Smith was the first year, because you tied it to the consumer price index. And that's the difference. We have not raised the sewer rates because you have to have a public hearing and notify the public, and they have to have comments before you can raise a sewer rate. And so it's a good idea, but practically what would happen is it would worsen the problem, because all the money would be dedicated to a third party, and then we really would feel a strain, because the water company is still going to be needing the money, and we still be drawing from the city, and not just for the city general fund, not just the sanitation fees by themselves.
That's why. And I speak independently of myself. That's why I'm asking for getting another truck, because it's very difficult to swallow telling someone we're raising your rates when your garbage is not being picked up regularly. my garbage not being picked up regularly. And then to say you're gonna raise my rates, I don't think so.
Y'all are in charge of finances, Dr. Miller. The one thing about it is this is a tough decision, and that's why you all were elected. And practically, as city attorney, I'm just trying to keep you focused on the fact that you got to cure a financial problem that all of you all were dealt and none of you all knew about. But
One other thing, what we can do, I think, to address everybody's concerns, we can put the sanitation collection out for bid and let the bids come in, and the mayor's free to reject them all at some, if that's what's best. But at least you'll know, you have some idea what waste management or BFI, Mid-South Waste, or whoever will come in and collect your waste for what they would charge you to do. And they may feel like they can do it for less than the $28 you charge. They may be able to do it for $18, Joe.
But it's still gonna hurt. If we don't fix the water, it's still gonna hurt.
But I understand, but I'm just saying, you get your bid, you at least know where you are.
I mean, and that's what the body wants to do, is fine with me, but I wanna say this.
What we're doing now
Mr. St.
is
Columbia.
not working. So we need to look at other avenues and possibilities of doing it. Like Ms. Miller said, in a way that we can continue, picking up the garbage and.
That's Mr. St. Columbia, that's fine. But listen to what we're saying. The issues that we're having, the water department is draining us dry. So wait, I'll let you talk. Let's get this together right there. If the water department owes the sanitation department $3 million, how it's not fair to the customer that they're not getting their trash picked up when the water is taking your money and saying, nah, I got your money, and what you gonna do about it? Nothing. So is it fair to the sanitation department to try to figure out how to get their new equipment, how to get things they need when the water department collects their money and hold on to their money and say, we're gonna give you a little bit at a time, and the water department got a new truck, got the things they need, and the sanitation department can't get what they need. So what we should do is try to fix the water issues so that the sanitation department can treat our customers like customers.
Here's what I suggest. Do everything that you all said. We all set out for bids so Ms. Miller and Mr. St. Columbia can have an informed decision, say this is what it's gonna cost. Get us the estimates on what the equipment is gonna cost. So everybody have all the information before them and everybody can make the decision they need to make. I think that's the thing that you all have been wanting all along, is informed decision. Get the information and let's go through and see what we have. We're going to make some tough decisions. The body's going to make some tough decisions, but information is vital. While we are talking about it anecdotally and what we may see, once we see it, we may be wrong. Get the information, get the bids done, but let's get it done, see what it happens. Let's see what we owe every month, what we can pay, what we can't pay. So y'all have all the information you can to make a decision. We want you to be informed. We want you to make the right decision. Let's do it all.
Well, I've been biting my tongue over here because I don't want this to come across wrong, but I have a criticism, and I wish every department head would just listen right now, and because I want it to be constructive. If I were making this presentation, the first assumption I would have is that the city has no spare money, no extra money. So I need to show you why you should do this. And I wouldn't say it's because I can't pick up garbage, because garbage is being picked up. Just sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's by this person, sometimes it's by that person. Sometimes it's half day today and full day and a half tomorrow. The presentation I would have made is, this is what we spend on a monthly basis on repairs. And this is what you would spend if you buy this truck, because the money is going out the door one way or another. So what I would have brought to this table is, this is what you're actually spending in sanitation every month. You can trade this for this. Either one is going to be bigger and one is going to be smaller. And then I think the decision is which one is cheaper, because that's all we can go with right now is what's cheap, what's cheaper. And if it's cheaper for us to keep patching trucks, then maybe we keep patching trucks. But if it's cheaper for us to buy that truck, then maybe we buy that truck. So when Andre said information, That's the information I'm listening for. Because at this point, I'm hard pressed to say yes to anything that adds additional debt. I just can't see it right now. But if you tell me that what you're asking for can be neutral or a savings, then it's easier to swallow. So, and we had this issue come up a few years ago, and we asked what we were paying in a particular department on, I think it was in the police department on repairs to a car. This is several years ago. And we just got a printout that says we pay this much money in repairs. Let me caution any department here, there's not that much trust around this table. So bring your receipts. Bring your invoices, bring your receipts, show what's being done, show what kinds of repairs are being done. And that way we can balance whether or not, and I only speak for me also. This is what I want to see. I want to know what we spent over here versus what it's going to cost over there. And the rest of the people might not want that. So I'm just talking about myself. But that's the presentation I would have made. I would have looked at all of these people and said, this is what you spend right here. And if you buy this truck, this is what you spend. And it's better if you just buy the truck and we stop paying Jim Bob and Tony to pick up garbage, and we stop paying this person to fix this truck and patch it. That's the presentation I would have.
What I would share with everybody at this table, since we've been talking about garbage, there have been 2 businesses, KFC, just on the text that says their garbage has not been picked up because the truck is down. PCDC just text that says that their garbage has not been picked up. So we have, these issues. And the message just came in, and I want to inform y'all, we have to do something. And I mean, I'm not trying to push you all. Let's get everybody the information they need. Miss Miller, we're gonna get you what you need, and we need to sit down and look at these finances on what we can do. Sir.
But are these businesses different from what he's talking about? I mean, are these the?
That's a different truck.
Yeah.
But we having a problem with that truck. So
Like this truck here, because.
But we headed that way, right?
Right.
So what we need to do is sit down and have a financial workshop. As my little boy said, lay it all on me. What you got? We need to lay all this on you all to see. We have city council meetings and we talk about a broad of things. We need to have this discussion about where we are.
If I may make a suggestion.
Yes, sir.
What are we doing next Tuesday? Can we have a financial workshop to get some of this stuff available, or can we meet some other day before the end? Or meet after? Because I think the knowing where you are financially.
Yeah, I gonna say. Knowing exactly what. Sir.
City council. Like I'm telling you about the fume in this truck and the guys. Why don't some of y'all come ride with those guys, and then you can see on hand what those guys are going through.
That's like me telling you about my car, and it's smoking out the back, and it's got tires that go flat every day, and it's doing this. That's not gonna replace it. It's gonna take money to replace it.
I know that.
But we're talking about money. So me riding in the truck and smelling fumes won't create money.
What? Okay, Mr. Efley. Would you ride in this truck in your hips?
No.
Okay, then.
But how can I replace it if I don't have money? That's the question for you. With what?
So what we need to park it?
Huh?
We need to park it.
I didn't say park it, Mr. Khan. What I'm asking you to do is bring numbers to the table. You making the request, it's up to you to show us how it works in the budget, because sanitation is not the only department in the city. So if you come and you don't have basic numbers to present to this body and just say the truck is smoking and it's dangerous, what you're asking us to do is maybe take it from somebody else. So who do you want us to take it from? Do you want us to take it from police? Do you want us to take it from fire? Do you want us to take it from the landfill? Who do you want us to take it from?
That's y'all decision.
But you want us to take it from somebody.
Like the mayor said, we're not getting it.
That's not
The
a
water
reasonable.
company's not paying.
That's not a reasonable request.
So,
That's not a reasonable request.
okay.
We got a whole city that we have to take care of.
Okay.
So what we're asking you, if you're the department head, crunch the numbers and bring them to us. Don't just tell us what the problem is, bring the numbers to us so
Okay,
we know
all
what
right.
to look at.
We'll do that. Thank you.
Can that something?
No, man, we studied, we went over that truck and went over it and went over it and went over it and tried to find out what the film was, and it breaks down, and
You frustrated.
it, you know, we've been spending money on it.
You know, and I'm. gonna
Mr.
share
Valler
this.
knows offhand because he bees around. He
And
know
I'm-
what I'm
and-
talking about.
And here's, and I'm, this is not directed at you, Mr. Roosevelt. So the last time we left here, my understanding is that when we came back, we were going to be addressing the water department, and we were going to be addressing the general finances as it relates to the police department. That was my understanding. That's what I thought we were coming here tonight to talk about. And instead, we've got, and this is no disrespect, please, to anybody else on here, we've talked about all this other stuff. And yet our biggest issue is still the water department and our finances. We've talked about permits, that's the issue I have, y'all. It's like our citizens are looking at us and saying, y'all are going over the same stuff every time y'all meet, and you're not getting anything completed. They're concerned, okay, I'm not speaking for the community, y'all. I'll speak for me. We've got to address this water department. We've got to address the finances. That's it. And we're spending a lot of time, including myself right now, rambling. But those are the big issues.
No, that's why everybody who comes before us needs a plan, a financial plan. We cannot sit here and just make decisions from the seat of our pants. We are past 4 quarters. This is overtime. Football, they call it sudden death.
So to address Mr. Estley and Ms. Miller, we know the problem is the water department. We are addressing the issue. We're trying to get a rate study done. You can raise your rates without a rate study if you want to. Just raise them and come back and correct them when you get the study, if you want to impact the money. But you can look at your collections. Your sanitation rate ought to be at least equal to your water rate. It's not. It's billing at about 58%. You're collecting at about 33%. That rate can be raised. You all can do that. Tell your city attorney, draft your ordinance, vote on it, pass it, and collect it. Now on collections, the mayor has told the water department to cut these accounts off. That should increase your collection rate. It may not solve the whole problem, but that's going to be a big part of it. Once the water department begins to get into the black, and the sanitation department have no problem paying for the equipment it needs to generate the money that it generates in collecting the trash. It shouldn't have any problem. But all of the equipment is aged, all of it. You know, they're constantly robbing one old truck of a part to fix another old truck and all that kind of stuff. But raise water rates, raise sewer rates without delay. You solve part of your problem. Sanitation rates need to be raised as well. We've gone through the greatest inflation in my lifetime over the last 3 or 4 years. And this city has not raised rates to accommodate that. So we are that much farther behind on what we're paying our employees, on what we're collecting, and all of that. But everybody else can raise their rates. We're paying higher light bills for this building and all the buildings we're in. We're paying our plumbers more money. We're paying all our contractors more money out of the same money that we were collecting 4 or 5 years ago. So part of the problem is that we are behind in our rate schedule in collecting and charging money to collect the money in order to keep up with the expenses that never go down. They continue to go up. That's what our problem is. So if we'll fix the water rates, we wait on a rate study, or you can go on and do a rate increase. But that's kind of where you are. That's a tough decision for everybody. I don't want my water bill to go up 1 dime, but I'm gonna pay my water bill when you send it to me because I want my water. I do good things with water. I don't know about y'all. I do real good things with water. So we just gotta do that.
and I encourage, and I know it's not gonna be popular, but I encourage us to raise the rates. I do, and I'm telling you, if I'm not here in the next 4 years, that's fine, but I sat where you all are, and I was scared to raise the water rates because I wanted to continue to sit there, but as you hear the finances, as you hear the issues of this city, something's gotta give. You know, so I mean, I encourage it. It's not favorable.
It's gotta be a total package. Yes,
Comparison of water rates in other cities,
That's what we're doing
Around
the rate
us.
study on.
sir.
That we will have them shortly. That's what we're doing the rate study on.
Stuttgart is about the same size as Helena. I wonder what their rates are.
Well, you look at Barton.
What?
Look at Barton Lakes of Water. They outbeat us any day of the week.
But the water rates.
I'm seeing their water rates. My godmother
the
paid
cutoff fees are higher.
160.
They
It's just hard
charge, they charge up to $100 to reconnect.
Yeah. So
I know energy's going up on it.
I got it like this.
What is that?
I got a bed. I want them lights on for them kids to read.
Yeah.
But I mean, we can dance around it. I understand it's not gonna be favorable, but I know you all want to see it. This administration has to do what we need to do with money, and we have to show that we're doing what we need to do with it. But we're not, the city clerk can tell you, we're not, franchise fees are down. I mean, you know, when you look at how we get things, or how we receive our money, it's down. Water rates should be up. If we had the customer base, we so busy, and I know I'm off the subject, but we so busy killing the city. We need to build some homes so we can get some more customers. We need more customer base. It's things that we can do. The house is gonna build some homes in just a little while, but that's time to wait. 400 new houses. Let's go. It's time. We gotta wait. We need money right now.
I have a practical question. Were you all provided with the information from Rural Water regarding their findings?
Yes.
Okay. It was, Mr. Murdoch was supposed to provide that to you all. It was done
August 4th.
August 4th. And they talked about all the things that we need to fix in the water utility. You'll have that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It says in bad shape. Nothing new in the report.
But I understand, but as it relates to it, I still think you need to wait to do the water rate study so you can make. Here's the one thing about it. If you're gonna do it, the citizens only gonna want you to raise their rates one time. Because if you raise it and then come back and that's not enough, you raise it again, you're probably gonna have a problem because you're gonna raise the rates twice. I think that we need an informed decision, and we do need to increase the rates. Any grant, any loan that we receive, they're gonna require us to increase the rates anyway. So it's part of the process, and the city is applying for several different financial mechanisms. But I think you need to tie it to the rate so it could be defended.
Well, let me just say this about rate studies. The rates you have right now is set based on rate study, and it was wrong. I just want you to understand that. Now, the guy who did the rate study, I talked to him. He said he got bad information. I don't know what happened, but the rate you got is wrong. It should never been set this low. Should never been set in this manner. Sewer should never have been 58% of the water.
Sewer was not 58% of the water at the time. The issue with sewer and water at this time is a simple issue. The city council you cannot tie it to consumer price index like the water rates can. It has to be a public hearing every year, and they have to vote on it every time that they increase the water rates. And the previous administration didn't want to bring it back to the body because he didn't want to be raising the rates every year. But currently, everybody's water rates are raised every January tied to the consumer price index, even though it's set lower than it should be set. And so that's how we get the difference in the two.
Mr. City Attorney, that's part of it. The 58% is correct. You can.
I didn't say it wasn't correct. I said that's how you get the larger gap.
But it was set at 58%.
I understand.
Okay.
And every year we've gone up since then for the water, but not the sewage.
So it's greater than 58%, then. Like 33%.
I didn't say I disagree with you, Chief of Staff. I'm telling you how it happened.
I understand.
What's next?
All right, it's about 7:35. We got a few minutes. The police department is here. Are y'all ready to hear from the chief?
Yes.
Chief Bell, you come forward.
Good evening to the mayor in his absence, city council, to our audience tonight. I'm back again to get some answers, I guess, from the city clerk and city treasurer. We've talked a lot tonight about equipment. And all of that's good, and we need those things. I want to talk about human bodies, our police officers. They have a lot of wear and tear. Since January 1st, in my taking office, these officers are working 12-hour shifts, 6 days a week. And someone may say, well, they got one day off and they're resting. No, they're not. They have personal business that they're having to attend to, or they're working additional hours. So the liability, Mr. City Attorney, I would ask that you would do a study or have the municipal league to look into our working conditions as we are doing now to service our community. We are in a dangerous posture right now. These officers are worn out. Their bodies are tired, their minds are tired. I will give you an example. So far, we have not had an officer shooting. If by chance we do, the mental state, the physical state, their ability to report for duty the way that they should and good standings, we're going to fail that test. What I'm saying to us tonight is that we are, in my opinion, we're not mentally up to staff, up to par as to what we should be, because they're not resting. Case in point, last Friday, one of our officers, God bless her heart and her family, she lost a loved one. All of our staff came out to support. Did they have to? No, they didn't, but they did. We did. I'm working long hours. I've got very little time to spend in my home. All I'm asking for us to do is to consider us, the human body, as we go forward. I understand the budgetary issues, but I want to use, I guess, the word the mayor used earlier. I'm asking that you all find some relief, some source of financial sources to help us to bring our department up to staff. We are working 9 officers, including myself, where we should have at a minimum of 25 to where I've cut it to be sufficient to serve our community the way that we should be serving. We're doing pretty good now to hold crime down to where it is now. I think we've seen a decrease, but we are still in a dangerous posture and working us the way that we're working. And I'm asking us to raise our salaries in an effort to attract, maintain, retain our staff, support staff, as well as our officers. Thank you.
If I recall how we elected, it seemed like the sentiment for most of the council was that we were in favor of the proposal that you submitted. And I think the conversation was that some numbers were going to be crunched. I think, Mr. Turner, you were going to look at some things and tell us.
I talked to the chief. I told the city clerk that it's going to add.
No, you didn't talk to me.
I didn't know if I did.
No, you didn't.
I know I talked to the city clerk. So it's going to add about with his current staff, it'll add about $20,000 to the payroll. What? Yeah. That's what his current.
How will that affect overtime?
Yes, 20,000. All I can do is judge it by the hours that they, the last payroll. So I took the hours, the overtime and all that they had the last payroll, and I rolled his numbers into the salary and changed it, and it's gonna be about a $20,000 increase every pay.
It'll increase the payroll to 20,000, is that what you're saying?
So,
Every pay period or per
Every
year?
2 weeks.
Okay.
so my question is this: since we got this cops grant, how would that?
I don't know, if you got one more year left on it or not. I think this would probably be the last year, or maybe next year.
So how do you draw that? How do you draw the money there?
Just have to,
Would that help some until we can?
yeah, but when that's over and that money's gone,
So do we know?
you got it for 3 years.
So that's the max.
That's max.
I'm just asking. I mean, I don't know.
I'm telling you, that's
How-
3. And then you
how
have
can
to,
we do?
and then you have to maintain it after that. You can't let those guys go or nothing.
Well, no, I just want them to have some knowledge because we all need the knowledge. If we got this cops grant for $1 million, you know, we got one more year. We should be talking about that money. Are some of our guys, some of our people on that cops grant now?
We have 11 of the officers on the cops grant.
Yeah, I think most of them on, well, maybe some of the ones that were here before that, but most of them on.
So can some of that money be used to offset the pay?
That's what it's there for.
So if you say it's do anybody know how much is left?
No,
So if you find out how much is left, I'm just saying, I can't make the call and say, sure, you see what's left, see what we can use. So I mean, how do you draw the money down? Every 2 weeks, every quarterly, or how's it?
I think monthly.
Monthly. So I think at some point, we have to look at something.
I don't know. The former chief of staff was the person that was drawing it down. I would give her a report. I could probably look it up and figure it out. I think the report I gave her, I could just take whatever I gave her out of the million, but it's probably about $500,000.
About how much?
I would guess about $500,000.
And we're only talking about 3 months that's left in this year. And then you want to have a workshop and a new budget coming up for 2024. So I'm having a hard time comprehending why we can't do that for this year at least. And then we're looking at a new budget period. And I'm assuming new monies state turn back and other revenues that come in.
Well, on the state turnback, you mentioned that our state turnback is based on our population. And right now, the general fund gets about $8,000 a month. That's all we get. And out of the general fund, you not only pay police and fire, you have to pay sanitation expenses. And then you also pay all the administrative expenses and all the other bills that go along with it. That's why the general fund is always in need of money. Now, the street department, I believe when we consolidated in 2006, the state turned back to the street department was probably $60,000 a month. Now they're lucky if they get 35. It's based on population. And all of our revenues are decreasing. Our AT&T franchise is very little because everybody has cell phones and we don't get anything off cell phones. And then your Summit Utilities is decreasing. People are watching what they spend. They're having trouble buying fuel and things. And the Entergy franchise check. There was a time when the Entergy franchise check was maybe 240 or 250,000 in the summer. It's not going to be anywhere close to that. I'm lucky if we get 189. And all of that takes, this is not disparaging police or fire, but they are actually what it's called non-revenue producing areas. You know, but yet they have expenses. Street produces revenue, they charge for things. Sanitation produces revenue. Administration's non-revenue producing. You know, but all those bills still have to be paid. And like I say, and I'm not saying anything about fire and police, but they just are. Any revenue that we get off of tickets, that's going for things that deal with police issues. We still owe about $240,000 on those 10 new police cars. It's $10,000 a month right off the top out of the general fund. And there are other payments and things that come out. You have phones, you have utilities, you have copier leases and things like that. You've got a list of the bills and you've got your treasurer's report, which is very good. And you can see where all the money goes.
I think, Mr. Mayor, in the long run, I think it's going to be more detrimental to the city by continually working our officers the way that we are. They are not a machine. They are human bodies. I think that one of the things that's really cropping up or coming up in the law enforcement community now is PTSD. The city will probably face some issues concerning these officers' health, because we are demanding that they work these long hours, even though they're getting paid. But we are demanding that they work these long hours to cover and protect us. And I think they're doing a great job in doing that. And I think that we ought to be rewarded to some degree for what we're doing and what we continue to do. But they cannot continue to work in the environment, the working environment that they are under. Stress. You have to imagine when the call goes out, the stress level goes up and it stays up, even after they return from the call. So I've got a pattern now that I kind of a jovial person in the workplace. So one of the guys asked me today, why do I do that? They need a space where they can come down off of the high, the stress high. And so I'm trying to provide that environment for them. They're young, they don't see it now, they don't feel it now. I'm 63. I've been doing this almost 40 years. And I can guarantee you, when they get up around 40, 45, they will begin to feel the work stress that they are enduring now. They're young, they're vibrant, full of vigor. You know, they don't really pay attention to it right now, but it is affecting them. It's a silent type of, lack of a better word, it's a silent killer. So I'm just, even if the budget that I presented, which is within the margin of given, we can look at doing something different, but let's do something. So we need to meet. I'm trying to meet with you all before now, but if we meet, we can, you know, kind of meet in the middle somewhere and try to make this work.
Well, Chief, I was
What do you ask? What's the, I know you said it's gonna cost 20,000, but what are we asking for? I know there was an incentive piece in there for certification. There was a base increase. Is there increases for you?
I mean, I don't $500,000 a year.
Okay.
My help with the
Okay.
current stats, it's gonna cost in the neighborhood of $500,000 a year.
Okay. And how much are we spending there?
Some people are getting if you get a $5 an hour raise, that's $10,000.
Okay.
And then it's multiple people that are getting it.
Mhm.
So it adds up. I'm just telling you the truth. I'm not. Yes,
So
numbers are, those are the numbers.
I think you're misleading with that number in the conversation. The numbers that we're giving, that we're talking about, that we're working with, is already in the budget. So there's no new monies. There's nothing added to. As a matter of fact, we are decreasing what you, the city council, gave us for 2023. Our numbers are probably $300,000 less or $200,000 less.
The budget is lower.
Excuse me?
The budget is lower. The budget is below,
Right.
but the payroll is going up. If I'm increasing your pay, payroll goes up.
But watch this.
No, sir.
Well, watch this.
That's not true.
When you
Okay.
stop the overtime, that's what you're asking for, because when you look at the overtime that we're spending, you still replacing the officer. Am I right, Ms. Ramsey? The overtime you replace, the overtime check the officer received, you're paying, what's an average overtime check, Ms. Ramsey, have you seen? Like $3,000 a pay period? How many people, that's two bodies. Yeah, that's overtime. So if you give them what they're asking for, it cuts the overtime down. Everybody getting a set check, go home. But we need to we look at all this. I mean, I've seen officers check $4,500.
Make more than I make.
So my thing is, if you cut, I mean, we reward the fire department. Am I correct, Treasurer? When the fire department got their overtime down, what happened? They got their overtime down. We gave them more officers.
Just telling you what the numbers say.
Yes, sir.
If you don't want to hear the numbers.
No.
Okay, I'm talking about not you. I mean, if you don't want to hear what the numbers are, I can't do anything about it. I did the calculations and that's what the numbers are. It's up to the body to decide what you want to do.
I have a practical question. How does this impact overtime? Is what?
Well, overtime's gonna go up until he gets fully staffed, until he gets 25 people and they can cut the overtime down. Overtime's gonna go up because the pay is gonna go up.
Now people get overtime at a higher rate.
Yeah, they'll be getting it at a higher rate. So how long it's gonna take for it to come down? I don't know.
If you get the people in the right money, it's gonna go there. I'm just saying, if you get the right number,
It's up to the body.
I'm just telling you, if you get the right number, Chief Roger Brown got the right number. Okay, went down. If you giving 5 people $45,000, how many people would say, look, I'm gonna leave Marvin and come to Helena-West home? Then one person that comes today, cut somebody else overtime down. You don't have a shift. A shift and a B shift and a C shift. You don't have that. What you have is people saying, I'm gonna work all day today and I'm gonna go home and get a couple hours and come back, half cop. Am I correct?
That's right.
So when people stop you and they gave you a ticket for speeding, and they should have gave you a ticket with no insurance because you wasn't speeding, just to have no insurance, they confused on what they're doing because of the hours that we're requiring them to work. Now, I can't make that decision for you all. Only thing I can tell you, look, it is what it is. You see the financial issues that we have. You see all the issues that we have in front of us. And I think sometimes I wish we didn't have to do it in this setting where everybody knows what our issues are, because it's discouraging people to come here. I want people to come to Helena so bad it hurts. But the decision is up to you all on what you want to do.
Just one quick, so that increase, is that with all of the incentives factored in? Because we know that's gonna be staggered. It's gonna take them a while to get
The
the,
only thing I could use, I didn't want to include holiday pay because I don't, you got birthdays and stuff like that. I didn't include holiday pay. I just included the salary increase in overtime. And I used the overtime that they had the last pay period. I just used exact overtime that everybody had.
but not the certification incentives.
No.
Just the salary.
I just used the overtime hours and I used the new rate.
Okay,
Now I compared that, what that would be to what they got the last
okay,
pay period. It's $18,000, close to $20,000.
okay.
I've got a suggestion.
Can we do
I
this?
don't,
Can we do this?
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's do a dummy run. A dummy run. What I mean by the dummy run is this. Run these numbers. And actually run, if we can run this by, run the numbers on how much it'll cost so we can see it on paper. Run the numbers without no overtime at the officer you're asking for. Give us a dummy run. Everybody see the numbers and you make your decision out there. No, wait.
Overtime wasn't a lot. Overtime wasn't even a lot.
Well, I'm just this is what I'm saying.
You may have done.
Put the people in place. We're not gonna pay anybody. Put the people in place. See what it's gonna cost so it can carry everybody around this table. That's what. Okay, if you want 25 officers, just run the police department payroll at that rate, so everybody can see. without overtime, for 25 officers at that rate, that he's asking for, run that dummy run, let everybody see it, Ms. Harris, Ms. St. Clement, Mr. Miller, Ms. Davis, and Mr. Anthony, we all see the number.
Okay.
So we can have see how would it work? You pay, if you pay 5 officers, if you get somebody for 45,000, what he's asking for, let us see the raw numbers of what it's gonna cost. Just run a payroll and let them see it. And once they see it, we'll know where we are, how they look, how overtime comes down, how all this stuff happens. You'll see. And then Ms. Rams with benefits, show what we're at when you raise this number up, benefits change. Show all this so Chief Bell and all of us can have a clear vision. Because once you raise their salary, benefits change. Oh, all this stuff change. So we need to see it. So in order for you to see it, when you see it, I want you to believe it. So we'll do that. And we'll need to have a special call meeting, run that as soon as possible, so we can get that number to you. So we'll do that. If the body's agreeable, let's have a special call meeting sometime this week. Let's run the number. We have what we need to have, and you all can know. So I welcome everybody to decide the audience come back. So we have a special call meeting. We can run this meeting. Let's have it. I'm here. I'm at your beck and call. Let's have a meeting this week so it can clear everybody's mind and we can see what it is. Ms. Miller. The smile on your face too.
No, I was waiting on Miss Davis. She said something about a question.
$20,000 that you came up with, how many officers was that?
I use his current staff.
So you asking to do it on 25?
If you know, we asked for 25 officers, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking about the 25 officers. If you go ahead and put these people, like just say we put them in place, just to see what a payroll looks like without no overtime, how much it's gonna cost us to see what it actually had these 25 officers at that rate of pay. How and then let's look at the budget and say, oh, we're saving this or we losing. Where are we gonna lose with this? Just give a run and see how it works. So that we won't be saying, oh, we should have, or no, we could have. Let's just get it out there to see. Let's just do a payroll off that right there to see what 25 officers at the rate of pay is asking for, to see, so you can see it on paper. And then you look at the budget, oh, can we or can we not? So we might go down to 20 officers instead of 25 at that rate of pay. Just give you a different scenario on numbers. Because if 25 is gonna raise about $20,000, okay, what do we do about 23 officers? What do we do about 20 officers? So we can see where we are. Give a dummy payroll just so we can see, okay, like Miss Danley gave us the water report on how much did we spend off the money that we got from the government. So just let's do that run so people can see.
Thank you. I got another suggestion of y'all, in light of all of this and what you all are saying, the numbers I guess are not together. I'm thinking that for this year, 2023, if you all would give us a bonus to carry us through the year, and I'm thinking $10,000 a piece. And then we'll revisit.
And so how many officers? That's $90,000.
Yeah, about 90, 100,000. Well, now we got not just the officers, this would include our support staff as well. Yeah.
I'm sorry. So I'm just saying, I just said, oh Lord. That's all I got. But then watch this, when you do that, you open up a box for everybody else. You know, we're known for the bonus capital around. So
we're talking. I understand, but we're talking police.
Yes, sir.
And the importance of not losing the focus, but in the importance of maintaining the officers that we have, and we are on the verge of losing these officers. And that's real serious talk. And I would ask that we would take some action on the incentive pay, which it shouldn't have a great impact on the budget at all. That's a progressive incentive pay. It's not just all at once. The officers will actually have to earn those certificates by continual education. So I would ask that we take action on that tonight.
We could have already voted on that.
Yeah.
We could have already voted on that.
So
What the Senate pay?
Yeah.
is that a motion, second, ready to get it?
For the Certificates.
The certificate.
Certificates.
So y'all would have
I
voted on
think
that?
y'all in agreement on the certificates.
So can I get a motion on the certificate pay? Can I get a motion in a second? Ms. Davis motions the incentive pay, Mr. Miller second, certificate pay. Let's get that corrected. Madam Clerk, any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. St. Columbia. Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Etherly,
Yes.
6 yes.
Now, Chief Bear, what I will say is this, the body, I need you all to help me one thing. Let's have some meeting. We need to have it, we need to set right here tonight, an extra meeting to handle these issues. We need to, for the time being, we need to go to 3 meetings so we can address strictly finance and the needs, so we can see where we are. So the next meeting, we can do one next Tuesday to strictly talk about finance and how can we get this stuff together. Ms. Miller, I see what, I see it, and I want to do it. You ready?
We have a funeral.
Oh, okay.
to attend.
Well, just tell me what day is best for the body, because
When they're getting their certificate paid, are you gonna make that mandatory, or are they gonna be taking those classes or studying on their own? I'll need to know what to tell our payroll people.
Yeah, they'll be studying on their own.
Oh, no.
And yes, but they're gonna get 2 certificates automatically. They go to the academy, they get their basic. Then 1 year following that, they get their general, and the rest of it based on continuing education. College English 1 and 2.
Okay, so everybody basically that you've got now that has been to the academy is gonna get a certificate.
Yes.
Those incentives will create a feeling of stability as far as retaining officers. Is that correct?
Yes, and then we're encouraging them to get continuing education.
That'll give you some type of retention on your police officers.
I'm not gonna say this will. It's a minimum amount, so I don't, it'll help, but I don't think it's gonna help to retain them. $50 a month. I don't think so. The raise will though. But thank you all so much.
You could give them state names again.
Mr. Mayor, I bypassed animal control section of the agenda. And when I called up Chief Bear while you were out, I reminded that Ms. Beth Flora is here. So if you all would hear from Ms. Flores.
while Ms. Floyd comes, council, can we get a date together so we can meet? We at our stopping point, but I do want us to get a date for next week to meet so we can handle these issues in October. We need to meet as soon as possible to kind of address these issues so we can all be on the same page on our finances, if you will. Ms. Floyd.
Thank you. I typed an extra set of animal ordinances. I took the one that Mr. Valley gave us to look at, and then I took the one that we'd had in the past. And then I queried 3 other towns in Arkansas that have the same size population, and apparently in talking to their animal control people, the same types of problems that we have. It all comes down to spay neuter, and of which we already know. And it also comes down to people actually taking responsibility for their animals. So in building this set of ordinances, this is not written in stone. I just want you to go over them and look at them, see if you have questions about them, because there are some extra things that are really going to make Helena-West Helena stand out. And one of them is mandatory microchipping. That is going to make everybody's job a whole lot easier. Myself, the veterinarians, the police officers who will be able to have a $45 microchip checker in their vehicles, where they can just scan the animal, find out if it has an owner. And if we make that as truly a mandatory fee, that might be something that could come back to help support the animal control program, where we might do a mass microchipping event 2 or 3 times a year to make sure. And the ordinance also says that the cats have to be microchipped. We have a large feral population of cats, especially in Helena, that have people who have oversight of them, take care of them, make sure they eat, get them spayed and neutered as soon as possible. But that would help, again, for people to be able to keep up with their animals. So in that ordinance, it speaks to any animal 4 months and older, cats and dogs. A large problem we have here too is abandonment of animals. People move out of these rented facilities that they have, and they just leave their cats, dogs, and other animals locked up in the house. They're not to some crime, they're dead. I had that call 2 nights ago. Animal probably had been dead greater than 10 days in that house, and I could not remove it because it was literally stuck to the floor. So I can't impress upon you enough that this town's philosophy, and it's true in a lot of the southern towns too, that animals are disposable, such as if your washing machine doesn't work, we just get rid of it and get another one. And so we still have that problem. The change with landfill. One of the things that has been to Valley is the contract with Meals on Wheels. He met with Ms. Franklin, came up with a deal, have the Helena-West Helena dogs right now supported on her property called Heartland for $1,500 a month. That includes all the utilities, the water, the upkeep of all the property, and the special needs of that facility. And it was determined that we felt that that was a really good deal. So what is asked for in that contract is that will be paid at least through the end of the year until any other plans of a different facility or a different place where we can have this animal control building are negotiated and resolved. At least we have a safe place for these animals to go right now. The request out there too is the same as if it was in the building at the landfill, that was able to have 12 slots for animals. And Ms. Galloway has asked that we don't place any more than 12 animals out there too, because there is a noise control concern, because it is at the end of an area that does have people who have their homes there. So that was one of the things that's involved in that contract that I asked that y'all have a look at and confirm for tonight. It's due on the 1st of the month of 1st of October. September has already been paid for. The other thing that as I was reading through this, and we have this large event that's fixing to happen downtown with the Blues Festival, is it's designated as special events under the definitions, restrained special events, strays. And it talks about the animals that are allowed to be downtown with the general public. And I know that there are a lot of times there might be special animals for special needs, but a lot of times these people who come in from out of town have brought their pets with them and they're walking. And for the most part, they're restrained. But the guideline is that if you have an event where you expect 300 or more people, that the dog has to be on a 4-foot leash and no further than 3 feet away from the person controlling the dog. And I don't see that. I see letting them, they run them out on those long extensions and stuff. So that's going to be something that I'm going to be watching for while I'm downtown too, to see just how many people are impacted by these animals, because I know a lot of them might be used to large crowds, but they might not be. And little kids run to dogs and they go, oh, let me pet the puppy, and then something could happen. So I thought that was interesting that this was built into the ordinance. Then nothing scares me worse than seeing dogs or kids riding in the back of a pickup truck. And I know when we were little, we thought that was the best thing that ever happened, that we could ride in the back of the pickup. But majority of dogs I see in pickup trucks in Helena-West Helena are not restrained at all in the back. And they run and they jump and they bark and they stand on top of the cab. And this calls for a special tethering of animals in the back of the pickup truck. And it's to keep them from being able to go any further than the sides of the truck. Now, there's not a law in the state of Arkansas that says this has to happen. But when I researched it, the Arkansas State Police had a whole article on what happens if your dog falls out of the truck. If your dog falls out of the truck and falls in front of another car, we'll say, and damage occurs to the car, the dog is dead, you've hurt another person or another person's vehicle, then you will be held responsible for that bill. If the dog is not properly restrained and it falls out of the back of the truck, then the dog is drugged behind the truck and will either sustain terrible injuries or be killed. And I have personally seen this happen. So this is something that's going to have to be something I'm sure that a lot of people in town are not going to have a great appreciation for us telling them that their dogs can't ride in the back of the truck. But it's just talking to them on how to be more aware of their situation, that the dogs are at risk. One of the confinement systems that is in this paperwork is a trolley system. And it's sort of like when you used to put your dog on the pulley that ran down the clothesline in your backyard. Essentially, that's the same thing. And that is the recommendation on these ordinances, that a trolley system be used for those dogs. The other thing that I believe we need to look at is animal cruelty. With the large number of animals that have come just since I started this in January, that have been shot, stabbed, thrown out of the back of a car, left to die, essentially like this poor dog the other night. Accountability is difficult. I mean, we can speak to the landowners or the property owners to find out who they had rented their space to, but a large number of these folks have left town, no forwarding address, no telephone numbers or anything. So we're going to have to come up with a better way of tracking these people so they can be prosecuted for what they've done, and then the fines and the potential reimbursement on the care of these animals could maybe be paid back to the city, because we have sustained some fairly large veterinarian bills that don't have any financial backup to them. We've been lucky enough to have a large number of people in town and out of town who have donated toward the care of our animals to Dr. Pittman's office. But it's substantial. Well, I think we're sitting at the bill is supposed to be capped for me at around $400. And that we can't do any sort of health care for these animals past $400. I think we're sitting at $1,000 right now. And with that, when that happens, then the services are severely cut back and or eliminated for the animals that still come in that are in need. So we're with the money that potentially could come from the microchipping that could come back to the animal control. That might be a way that we could get reimbursed on the things that we need to do. The other big deal in here is that animals will not be allowed to be staked out to stationary objects. They can't be chained to the tree. They can't be chained to the car that's sitting on 4 flats on the side yard. It can't be chained to the fence. They have to be controlled inside of a fence setting, or they have to be restrained inside of the yard. But they just can't be allowed to be just chained out, because a large number of times there's no dog house, there's no food, there's no water. And, you know, the dog may stay out for a whole week without anybody coming to check on them. That's one of my things that I look for the most. So I know it's been difficult. And when I deal with a lot of the people who are calling about the large numbers of animals that they have in their neighborhood, and talking with the people who are only feeding them, they don't really own them, they're just feeding them. There has to be a determination on how do we decide whether or not you really are going to be legally considered the owner. So there is a guideline in here that says, you know, if you have been feeding them for a certain period of time, if you've been making sure they have the proper cover, the proper water, food, care, at a certain point, you then will be recognized as the owner of the animal, even though you say it's not yours. So we can have some backup when we go to make sure these people are doing the right thing. It's interesting that there's also a big deal about pet shops and where the pet shops can be in Helena. And I thought, I don't remember a pet shop in Helena where you could purchase animals, but one of the nice things that isn't built into this is, should there be a pet shop that would like to open here, the animals that go to the pet shop will only be able to come from the animal control situation. They will be representing the puppies and the kittens. Sir.
So you want us to take action on this tonight? What are the things that you want us to take action on tonight? You just want us to take act, you giving us this to go over?
Yes, sir.
So,
And I want you to take action on the contract.
okay, so what we can, the contract from Heartland, from Mrs. Galloway.
No, Sandy sent it to him.
It's in your emails. I sent it 3 different times, and for you to review before I ever gave it to the council in case you needed to make any changes.
There's one paragraph in here that you have shooting and killing wild animals in the city limits, corporate city limits.
Yes, sir.
That is in conflict with the ordinance that we already have,
Urban
where
deer.
we can kill deer
Right, we have
in the city limits.
we have
So that paragraph will have to be taken out or changed to.
What, do you know what ordinance that is?
Urban deer.
Urban deer.
Right.
Okay.
So
It's authorized, I think it's from September till October.
It's only a certain period and it has to be state controlled by the city.
Okay. I was not aware of that.
State.
All right. Thank you very much.
You can kill deer in a certain area. You know, there's an ordinance on that already.
Okay,
Which
thank you.
conflict with this.
All right. Well, I'll be glad to change it. Thank you for letting me know. All right, everybody have a look at that, what I gave you. And
I'll take a look at both of them and make whatever copies. Ms. Davis.
I'm sorry. Did you say something to me?
I said I'll take a look at both of them and make a recommendation.
Okay.
Our city attorney needs to prepare an ordinance for us to approve this. So I mean, it needs to go through his office.
Okay. Okay.
And after all the lawsuits and all that stuff, my attention has been on all those.
All right.
Those lawsuits.
Thank you.
But she has a concern about Mrs. Galloway.
Yeah, that's on the Heartland.
I just want to make sure that we take care of it through the end of the month.
Yes, sir.
She won't be paid by October 1st. So we need to revisit. We'll have Ms. Renz put it down when we have the special copy. We'll take care of it.
Whatever y'all have special call me on that, I'll address both of those.
Yes, sir. So
Okay.
Ms. Flip, we're sure you'll be at the next meeting with us.
Okay. Just let me know. Thank you.
Heartland
Yeah.
dog facility contract.
Both of them, the
Yeah.
animal orders and the Heartland security.
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Davis.
Okay.
Oh, you're the-
Yeah, Ms. Davis.
We're done.
Yes.
I'd like to recognize my sorors, Delta Sigma Thais. They're here, and does anyone have anything they want to say?
Cameras to the desk.
We're gonna recognize Mrs. Sandra Daly, school board president, and yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, and to, of course, my Sarah, Monica Davis, and the City Council and all of you here. I'm here, Sandra Bagley, President of the Helena Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And we're part of a call to action across the nation as we're doing Delta Days at the school board meetings and the city council meetings. And we're here listening in action that we can take. We are not just about the fun parts of sororities that you hear about, but we're actually here to take action. And so much so that we're prepared to, if we didn't have a seat here in the audience, we have our folding chairs in our cars. We brought our own chairs so that we could be here at the table with you. Our purpose is to come and see how we can support the people of this community. At the city, of course, we're listening for economic development. We're looking for financial issues, of course, the water issue that we have, as well as re-imaging police. So we're certainly glad to hear the discussion that's going on about our police officers. And of course, we know we have the ongoing issues with the water and sanitation. Anything that we can do to help, we have our seat at the table through Ms. Monica Davis, our Sarah, and anything that we can do to help, we just want to let you know that we are here to support not only you who are the elected officials, but also here in the community. So thank you so much for this time. We come here this month, and we also, just to let you know, visited Barton School District last Monday, and we will be at Helena-West School District next Monday. And then you may also see us at the first of the year, the February, March time, as far as coming to your meetings, but we will be out in the community working. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.